All right. So yeah, we're live now on YouTube, and we have with us Richmond Aisabor, based in Dallas, Texas. And we've known each other, I think, 2, 3 years now.
Yeah, it's been like
Yeah,
2.5 years.
yeah, yeah.
Feels like it was
Yeah, 'cause
yesterday. It's just it was like, no, yeah, it does not feel like 2 years, but
yeah,
that's good.
yeah. And I think one of the really interesting things is, unlike a lot of the college students in Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas that I know, we actually did not meet because we were organizing a hackathon together. We met because you showed up the day of and thought, yeah, I might as well hang out. And then you end up volunteering with a broken leg. And then the
Yeah.
next year, you did that again, except with a good leg, with two good legs. And then you end up joining the team after I had passed things off, which means we technically never worked together either.
Yeah. And I was committed. I was like, I'm gonna be here with one leg and I'm gonna serve my people, my tech people, just one leg. That's commitment.
Yeah. Well, real quick, go ahead and show your sweatshirt so people can see what school
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah, so we're talking about Southern Methodist University, home of the Mustangs, pony up with the Stangs. Yeah, it's a good school. Taught me about
Shout
life.
out. Shout out. Yeah. Yeah. Based there, right there, downtown Dallas, next to Mockingbird. And I'm trying to think what else is nearby. There's Mockingbird. Honestly, you just have so many things nearby.
Uh,
So, but yeah. So, we're talking about some of the stuff about, the facts about you, kind of your profile. But for you as a person, what are your hobbies, your passions, missions? What is it that makes you Richmond Aisabor?
yeah, so hobby wise, um, so some of the hobbies I have now is like playing guitar, reading, and like sports. So some of the sports I played growing up was I played soccer. I actually played cricket for a year when I lived in Nigeria for about a year when I was really, really young. This was like sometime in elementary school, but that's just like
Mhm.
an esoteric sport that I just so happened to play back then.
Yeah, I never
Um,
knew you played cricket at all.
yeah, no, I did. I was honestly, I was so bad at it. I don't talk about it because I'd rather talk about things that I'm good at, you know. But and then so I wrestled, and that was probably the sport that I put the most like work and effort and passion into.
Yeah.
Um, so and I haven't done anything like martial arts wise in a long time. I was part of the mixed martial arts club at SMU for about a couple months, but then I just I wasn't consistent with it. But so yeah, martial arts and sports, those sorts of things I like. I'm hobbies and passionate about. As far as missions, so yeah, my biggest mission is I guess to put my all into this industry, the tech industry, and I want to build a future. Ever since I was really really young, you know I've always kind of dreamed about the future. I watched a lot of sci-fi growing up, so I watched like Futurama was like my favorite cartoon ever because it was just like you had Hyperloop, you had these very you had like just like the politics, the aliens, having relationships with human beings. It was just like so inspiring, and I thought that hey, that could be possible. Um, so yeah, that curiosity, that kind of what was kind of got me interested in science and like math and those sorts of things that kids kind of tend to like think it's kind of boring when you're really really young. But that got me starting on it kind of early, and I just kind of kept going with it. You know, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's my mission.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, for you talking about you were in Nigeria for a year, and you've always been very outspoken about, that's a big part of your identity. And I feel like one reason why we connected is we talked about what we can do for our communities. And like you said, putting your all into the tech industry. um Obviously with this interview, we're also trying to say, hey, participants in Nigeria, here's Rich, he's one of you, here's his story. um you might know more about Nigeria, or tech in Nigeria. Well, you definitely know more about Nigeria than I do, but you probably also know more about tech in Nigeria than I do. At least, maybe you've heard from family members and all that. Would you say that's the case, or do you feel like, uh, you know, do you feel like you don't really know much about the tech scene over there?
Um, so it's definitely an emerging scene. I know just that like companies are kind of looking to like recruit in like Lagos Nigerians. I know there's definitely like people would want to see like Nigerians in this industry for sure, but I'm still learning about like Nigerian tech industry. I'm sure I'll be like an expert at it like very soon. But yeah,
Yeah.
I know that I know Facebook put an office in Lagos, which is I think a great decision because there's lots of talent in Nigeria.
I had no
I think
idea.
Twitter opened an office in Ghana,
Mm.
but I definitely could get fact checked on that. But I know I believe in Nigeria, some of these major companies are putting offices, and so that's like it's definitely getting, um, I guess like better the industry, the scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not know Facebook was doing anything in Lagos, so that's pretty big news. I
Yeah.
guess for you, a lot of what you do now, obviously, you is work, but you know, what was it that got you interested in tech in the first place?
Yeah. So like how I was going saying previously, like curiosity, it's kind of
Mhm.
like asking yourself, you ask yourself those questions like, why is the grass green? Why is the sky blue? Those you actually take it seriously and you really ask yourself those kind of questions. And I think it just kind of breeds a scientist.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, so like the first like real experience I had with tech was was the summer after the sixth grade. I had just graduated elementary school. And so, my mother wanted me to go and like do something with myself and not just, be at home, go to summer camp, socialize, make friends and that kind of thing. And so, the summer camp had like so many different like classes and things you can do. So the one class though that was the most interesting to me, and I put my all into it, was this video game design class. So I take it, and I don't remember like too much from it. Well, the little like details, how the game turned out and all that. But I remember it was a good game. My teacher liked it, and I had a partner, and it was kind of a pair programming experience. Except
Yeah.
we weren't like really coding. It was almost like a Unity type game engine for like 2D like platform games.
Mhm.
And so we both like kind of worked on it like really hard. We got to burn it on a CD, and it was really fun. That was one of those experiences where I just felt like I was very much in the zone,
Yeah.
and I just like could just like I don't know. I felt like it just felt really good just to build that. And so I held on to that moment because I was like, okay, that was like good. That felt good. Um, so I progressed into middle school, and I'm taking my math and my like science, those sorts of classes, like STEM classes, very seriously because I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'd become an engineer and that sort of thing, but I'm not really sure exactly what kind of engineer or what kind of scientist. And then I go into high school, and I take like computer science. I take it 2 semesters of it. My computer science teacher, she wasn't I mean, she wasn't the best computer scientist. She actually didn't have a degree in it. She had a degree in like commerce.
Mhm.
So she wasn't always like that helpful, but it was just cool to like be in an environment with other people who are interested in computer science and interested in tech, who like see like potentially this as a future career. And
Yeah.
we all kind of worked on it together, and it was just like really fun. And about like, so once I got to like AP computer science, that's when I actually started working in Java. And I remember I was okay at it, but it was really frustrating. I asked myself, like, how do people do this? And
Yeah.
so, I thought it was just like super hard. But I just, I got to college and I was like, okay, well, like I should just major in computer science because that's what I've been doing this entire time. And, obviously, you know, I don't know, I could just like work really hard at it and become really good at it, and to the point where like reading code is like reading English. And that happened. It's kind of like scary to me sometimes when I read code and how intuitive it is at this point. But it's a great skill to like build and develop. And I don't know, I'm happy that it kind of transformed my life, because this is my profession. And yeah, so that's how I became interested in it. It's just like being a kid, like, just I don't know, trying out new things, and I just so happened to bump into the right thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's we all have different paths. I think, some people are inspired, some people are curious, some people are just kind of grow up with it. So, we all have different paths. I guess for you, it seems like it's been a pretty smooth progression towards, you're interested, you see things, you get curious. Have you ever felt like there was a conflict uh between your life and tech?
Yeah. So, I just started out like, so, you know, I'm still an entry level software engineer, so I'm sure there's going to be like more instances, but I would say like when I was trying to attain my computer science degree,
Mhm.
there was definitely some like conflict in that I never ever felt like fully entitled, almost, if that's the best word to say, to,
Yeah.
I guess, what I was doing, because nobody in my family was a computer scientist, or like was a software engineer really. My parents, so my mother raised me, and she kind of was like more like leaning towards like medicine and just like, I guess, like going into careers that are very like a bit more safe and
Yeah.
I- you know and but that's not what I was really like that all that passionate about. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess in her mind, it's like, well, he's good at science. Why doesn't he just like do this thing that's like kind of like a surefire way to being successful? But I don't know. I guess I had to like, but I guess our both of us had like different perspectives on what like success meant, and
Yeah.
I had to like kind of like say, this is my life and this is what I want to pursue. I, I like pretty successful with it. And my parents, they don't anything else with their life is they're all like really proud of it for like making it. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's things, um, you know,
Yeah.
kind of bumped heads.
Yeah, it's a little tricky because uh, you know, on one hand, to see the tech boom going on, um, and obviously it's easy for a lot of us to think, oh, tech is here to stay. But I think for a lot of us growing up, it wasn't that clear. The dot-com bubble burst in the late 90s, stuff like the Y2K scare. Um, So, every now and then you hear about a tech company that goes under or gets bought out. So, yeah, there's always a bit of, oh, what happens? So, you know, you ended up staying with this, and now, you're working at AT&T. Um, so as opposed to being in the big tech companies a lot of people see, you're not Google or Microsoft, you're AT&T. You probably have a different view of how tech would impact the future of the world as opposed to someone who's in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think my perspective is like much more broader because AT&T, we build like it's a telecommunications company, or it's a TMT, so it's telecommunications media, it's a big company, and so I feel like I kind of see it from like a more I see myself almost infrastructure that who get a Snapchat and a Twitter and a Yahoo and a you would be able to do what they do networks in. We talk about five. That's that's like ultra fast, like just like data transmission rates, and
Yeah.
that allow like doctors to potentially use VR to like to perform surgery. So like that much like that low latency, and so I think so. That's the perspective we get to see it from. It's like, how do we enable them to kind of create the infrastructure for other people to do amazing things with technology and data and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think obviously telecommunications, not just telecommunications, but communication in general. I feel like one of the really interesting things is when we think about technology, right? We're thinking right now digital, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that. But the invention of writing, right? I would say that's a form of technology. You could even argue that the innovation of just talking versus announcing things, right? Like a town crier, you could even argue that's some form of technology. But whatever your stance is on that, there is undeniably a lot of innovation in communication because you go from I'm just telling you information to let me announce it with a big booming voice so the whole town can hear. Then let me write these things down. So we just copy it 10 times, send it to 10 villages. So the town crier doesn't have to go all around one at a time. Then from there, printing. So now you know, I can print all these messages very quickly. Um, and even not just communication methods, but stuff like paper, inventing paper. So it's easier than, wood, wood strips and bamboo strips like in China, papyrus in Egypt. Now with paper, it's easier to mass produce, and then, combine that with printing, going back to the communication technologies, then you end up later on stuff like Morse code, with telegrams, radio, TVs. We get to, computers being desktops, then laptops. It's portable. Video chat starts popping up. Cell phones become smartphones, iPads. Now we even have AirPods. So there's always a lot of innovation and technology involved with communication. And for you being at AT&T, that's kind of where, the industry where a lot of this happens. So, for you to be doing this during the remote revolution, with the pandemic and everyone working remote, I feel like you're probably going to see a lot of unique things coming up in the next few years.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd agree. Yeah, I'm excited to see some like really, really awesome stuff. I've been told that, like very coming at AT&T, you find yourself in rooms where they'll like tell you stuff about like the world that like maybe very few people will kind of like be able to kind of like, be in those rooms.
Yeah.
Few people. So that's like really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So, earlier you mentioned, your community, the stuff you want to do. I want to jump into that a little bit more. One reason is because, so although we did not actually work together on Hack SMU, in terms of creating the event, you know, after I passed the event off, like I did with all the other events in the South Central US, I passed off all the events for all the major schools. I created them, trained students, passed them off, and then you were a big part of helping them with going online. So obviously for your community, at least in terms of school, you wanted to see, SMU remain at the forefront of the, I guess, not just the hackathon scene, but, just the tech scene in general. I guess, what else would you like to see for your community? Not just SMU, but, for, your neighborhood, your people, whatever that actually means to you, whether it's, your friends or your family, just in general, the different types of communities in your life. What do you hope to see for them?
Yeah, so I'd hope to see, I'd hope to see some of them honestly give tech a chance, just embrace it. I'd love to see that because I feel like, a lot of people like assume programmers are a certain type of way. I think that's like something like my draw to like, or uh, what some people I feel like have found, or some people were drawn to me maybe because I don't maybe fit the stereotype for what a tech person is supposed to like because it's I mean if you're anybody can be interested in technology. It doesn't anybody can like computer science. You know, like if people should try and they have the kind of talent. For the past, I've had like a lot of talent. So I know growing up, I would I'd hang out with like guys who were a lot of guys I hang out with are really creative. I was probably the one who was in the programming. I had friends who like rappers, so those sorts of
Yeah.
programming is a creative profession as well. And it'd be kind of cool to, at some we like to see definitely, yeah, like more diverse types of people because it feels like the same kinds of people kind of go to hackathons. The kids who are like, extremely like about like, the technical aspect of it, the computer science aspect of it, maybe see like more kids who are a bit more into the business side, who have like more communication, aspect, maybe some business students to come in and maybe I don't know, that would be kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's for community and also for like SMU. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah. Yeah, and in fact, when you were saying that, I was thinking, man, I kind of wish I had Dooney on, which I don't know if I introduced you to. I think I might have briefly, but his full name Ade Dooney, which any Nigerian can tell. Oh yeah, obviously. But
Yeah.
Dooney Dayo Coyote, um, I think I mentioned before, he was the high school student in Chicago who created color hacks this past February. And I mentored him through the process, and he said a lot of the same things, saying, "Yeah, I went to a hackathon. I was the only color kid there, and I felt like I got to represent. But on top of that, I got to create opportunities and get more to help represent. Help them get to the point of being able to represent. So I think one of the main things is, well, first, you're not the only one. But second, I need to do a better job of putting y'all in touch, and then other people as well. But I think definitely the kind of stuff that you talked about, the stuff that he's talked about, you're all trying to do similar things. Of course, the tricky part is we're all kind of spread out across just everywhere with the pandemic. But at the least, the stuff you said, he said a lot of the same things. So I think that's great. Um, Moving on to the last question. You kind of did mention this as well, but for this event specifically, as opposed to hackathons in general, as opposed to tech in general, what would you like to see what would you like to see the participants gain from this specific event?
Um, I feel like it looks like this event is like one of those events just from like, that and you can learn a lot, especially given like data is like things are how would I put it? Well, data is just like important. It's like what I think it's like more precious than like oil, more precious than oil. It's the most like important asset. So it's like I think you can just like learn a lot from this event and learn how to like use data to like really, I guess, like create like a lot of like human centered solutions. And
Mhm.
it's just like a good way I think for people to also communicate with each other because like there's like gonna be a Discord server, so all like the participants can like talk to each other about data, and just get the kind of like spur a lot of conversation.
Mhm.
A lot of great conversation. I think the really big important thing. Um, because it's like those little moments, and sometimes I feel like can change like the trajectory of life. You never know, like somebody might mention something very insightful about data that you might hear it, but you're in the that very few people themselves, and now you have like power because you have that information. So yeah, I think just you'll probably learn a lot. Like whoever, all the people are participating, you're gonna learn so much, and so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and everyone who's watching this and will watch this in the future, you can check the video description down below to get the contact information from Rich. Uh, you know, it the stuff he's saying is not just for this event what you gain for yourself, but also, he's willing to be available to you. So, if you're Nigerian and you're saying, "Hey, what's life like in the US?" Or, if you're like Rich and, Dooney kind of did the same thing, grew up in Nigeria for a couple years, maybe you're trying to find out about that. Or maybe just in general, you're just trying to say, "Hey, what does it mean to be black, colored?" What I know there's other terms out there, but just in general, the representation, the in tech, that group, maybe you're talking about entry level, new grads, maybe you're talking about being black or colored, just, whatever these things are, if you want to reach out to Rich, do that. And, obviously, if you're from SMU, I'm sure Rich would appreciate talking to a fellow Mustang.
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, I think it froze here for a brief moment, but yeah,
I did.
obviously, yeah, I can hear you now, but yeah, I think it just froze on me for a brief moment, but yeah, I think for a lot of people, just saying, hey, here's Rich, he's an SMU alum, he's in Dallas, so I guess, do you have any closing words for everyone?
Yeah. I guess the last thing I would say is, give like give tech a chance. Try it. See if you like it. If it's difficult, it's a steep learning curve, like learning a lot of like the technological concepts, but just keep going, and eventually you'll wake up one day and you'll just like know so much. You'll be a computer genius. People like that, and you'll be like, wow, like how did I become so? I don't follow this. Just try your best. Is all I have to say.
All right. So you heard it, everyone, from Richmond Aisabor. I'm used to calling him Rich. And yeah, feel free to reach out to him. I'm sure he'd be glad to connect with any of you. And best of luck with the rest of the event.
Yep. All right. Take care.